To start by recognizing the presence of the Honorable Minister of Youth and Sports, who is ably represented here by the Executive Director, Mr. Marshall Mendy. I want to also recognize the presence of the Charge d'Affaires of the French Embassy in the Gambia. I want to recognize the DG of the Alliance Française in the Gambia. And I want to recognize, of course, my senior, my mentor, my brother, my dearest colleague, Dr. Barry. I want to also recognize the presence of some of my colleagues from my ministry and those that I know, some writers who are here. I want to recognize in a very special way the people and the family of Kunta Kinte. I want to recognize in another special way Mr. Sow, and I'll come back to him later on. But more importantly, the people that I want to celebrate in recognizing are my students, the young people, the people that matter, the people that made this gathering possible. A lot have been said by my previous and the predecessors who have spoken, that if there is a country called the Gambia, and anywhere and any country in the world, is because there is a cohort of the population called the young people. They are the ones who matter. They are the ones who will take and handle the affairs of that country tomorrow, called the future. I am happy to be here, but I'm also sad to be here. So I have mixed feelings. What are the mixed feelings? I want to start first with the sad feeling I have. From the deliberation of Prof. Dr. Barry, he spoke about a Frenchman coming to expose them to literature. And I'm sure among that literature that they were exposed was Gambian literature. A Frenchman is teaching Gambian by his literature. That is sad for me. Mr. Caesar from the Kunta Kinte family also said that the history of Kunta Kinte was written by Alex Haley. And he has decorated it beautifully to say an African American. But I want to tell you in blunt language that it was written by an American. So African history, something about a Gambian from the noble environments of Jufure is being written by an American. If that is what we should celebrate, I am not celebrating it, because it would have been celebrated more if the literature of the Gambia was taught to professor or exposed to professor by a Gambian, and if the history of Kunta Kinte was also written by a Gambian. And that's the difference. When you allow people write your history, you are a recipient of that history. But when you write your own history, you are the teller of the history. There are differences. And my students, I am saying this to you because the past has been committed with errors. But we must not accept the future to also be committed with errors. And if we don't want errors in the future, we must start now writing and telling your own history and the history of this country. My brother and colleague, Mr. Mendy, said he was helping his son with a homework. And the passage they were reading is talking about some other environments different from Westfield, Joshua, Latrikunda, and so on. That's the difference when people write for you as opposed to when you write for yourself. So I'm challenging you, young people, like I have always done in the past, that we must take up writing. We must take up writing if we want our story to be told the same way it should be told or as it happened. We must write that story ourselves. Otherwise, people write it for us in the way and manner and the feeling that they have or think about that story. It is for that reason that we at the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education has committed ourselves and taken a resolutions that the books that will be used in our school system should be and must be written by Gambians, because we want you to tell your stories, so that when you talk about Serakunda, people know where Serakunda is. When you talk about mango, people know what mango is. When you talk about some cultural and norms that we have as a culture, as a people, as a country, you begin to appreciate that because it's coming from one of you. It is only in this country that you give a document such as ID card to someone and he holds that ID card and looks at it and tells you, what is your name? That is not acceptable. And you know why that is happening? Because we do not have the culture of reading. We must read if we want to be informed. If you don't read, you will not be informed. It's not magic. And don't tell me you are too young to start. No. Mr. Saw has started writing when he was equally at your level, or perhaps some of you have gone past the level in which he started writing. And today he is a celebrated international writer. Prof has told us this was literally his home because he spent both day and night in this place in search of knowledge. And that has paid dividend today, not only to him, but to the Gambian society, because he has authored many books in this country. I have a copy or copies of some of his books. And I'm going to challenge you continuously as young people, particularly my students. You must develop the art of reading. You must develop the art of writing. It is only in that way that you can sharpen and harness your skills. And so sometimes when you look at some young people making waves in the international arena, we think it's magic. And we Gambians like using this word. He is a lucky person. Who can tell me what does the word luck mean? What's the definition of luck? L-U-C-K. Luck. People often talk about it. Am I right? What does it mean? Huh? Opportunity. Yes. Every one of us has an opportunity. There is nobody who is born without skills or talent. Every one of us was born with a skill or a talent. But what we don't do is to exploit our own gift or skill or talent. The word luck is the proper use or the correct use of knowledge. When you use knowledge properly or correctly, you achieve results. You see the dividend. And then those who refuse to do that will now say, oh, he is lucky, or he's luckier than me. It only simply means, the L means Labor, L-A-B-O-U-R, labor. And you know what labor means? Work. Yeah? It is labor under correct knowledge. That's what love means. So ask yourself, am I laboring enough? Or am I applying labor under correct knowledge? You can be what you want to be if you want to be what you want to be. It's all left to you. So we must, as young people, take charge of our destiny now. The environment is created. The opportunities are there. Explore them. Don't wait until when you think you are an adult, then you start. No, it will be late. I am sure for those of you who did metal work, there is what they call strike while it is hot. If you want to make a chair, do they hit that iron when it's not hot? You are only able to bend the iron to the shape you want when it is hot. And I'm challenging you, my dear students, the future leaders, strike now while the iron is hot. This is organized by yourselves, a colleague of yours, a young person, and that's the beauty. And that's why I said I have two feelings. That's the joy feeling I have, that young people are beginning to come together. Young people are beginning to think and realize that, yes, no one will do it for us except we do it for ourselves. Like I told you, when they do it for you, you will only be the recipient. Do you want to continue to be a recipient? No. You must be a giver now. And you can only give if you begin to lead now. You must begin now. I could see some smart young faces that I met before, young people. And I know you have the ability to prosper your life and prosper the life of others. I know you have the ability to propel not only yourselves, but the country to a better future. That is what we are challenging you to do. I want some 10 years to come, 5 years to come. All the books in the basic and secondary education should be written by yourselves. I am sure my brother and my senior who has just come in, Director DG Asum Sise will tell you, when you read the literature books that some of us read at high school, they will be telling you about Okonko. You begin to struggle to pronounce Okonko. But if they had written books to talk about Buba and Babukar, you'd say it with comfort. It's because it is your environment. And that's the challenge we want to talk to you about. That's the challenge I want you to take up now. I want you to promise me and every Gambian that you are ready to take up the leadership of this country. And you will not take it when they voted for you as presidents. You must start now before you get to that level. Otherwise, you cannot get to that level. And that is the more reason I often say, I know generally people say the young people are the future leaders of the country. I do not agree with that statement. I do not agree with that statement. The young people will only be leaders of tomorrow or the country if they begin to take up their responsibilities now. Otherwise, what most of us will become will be elders of tomorrow and not leaders of tomorrow. They are two different things. You can be an elder, but yet not a leader. I want you to be both an elder and a leader. Elder is the possession of age, but leader is the inspiration that you give others who are with you and who follow you and who live with you. And that can only happen if you begin to utilize yourself more. Education is not the accusation of certificates, but it's the application of that knowledge that is gained from those certificates. You don't work with your certificates, do you, everywhere you go? It is your brains that you work with. So if you cannot utilize that knowledge for a meaningful person, a meaningful community, a meaningful country, then you are not educated. You have been to school and you've been to university, but you did not allow the school to go through you and also the university to go through you. So my young people, my dearest people, this is my challenge this evening. As we celebrate this very important day, it's important because it is one of us. It is one of us. And a lot has not been told. Kunta Kinte never fell from the skies. He lived with people. They were Gambians. But why didn't they write about it? And they allowed someone to tell us our own story. Then it means they will shape our destiny instead of us shaping our own destiny. And that we must not continue to accept as young people. We should say no to that, and we should take up the leadership position because the environment is created, the opportunity is there. You have the seniors who are still around who can help us grow. He has a funny story to become a writer today. And I'm sure I will not tell his story for him, but I would want him at some point to tell you his story. Then you will know that, yes, you can. Don't think you cannot. You can be a writer. It's only when you don't make an attempt that you will not know. If you begin to explore your talents and your gifts, you will certainly know what you can do. And you will be surprised to the success that you will find yourself. You will be surprised of the achievement that you will attain if you begin to pursue these gifts. So having said this, my dearest, lovely students and young people, I want to commend you and your colleague and brother for this thoughtful event. I can't remember it being celebrated before in this magnitude, in this kind. My colleague historian is here. First time he's told us. So this is what you have done. Can you imagine that you have done this for the first time in this country after what? 57 years of independence. Can you imagine that? So clap for yourself. That's your achievement. And that's just the beginning of your achievements, or one of your achievements. The elders have done their bit. Let's also do our own bit. In a very special way, we have our auntie here, who is a lover of the pen. And she has all the history you can imagine. And they have done their bit. I sometimes, when you interact with her, you say, oh, hasn't knowledge faded away from this old woman? But let me tell you, the only thing that doesn't die, or that it cannot be snatched or stolen by anybody, is knowledge. It's the only thing that each and every one of us will die with, and no one will take it from you. Only knowledge. So I implore you to search for knowledge. The books, the Holy Prophet Muhammad was told, go search for knowledge. And he told others, go search for knowledge. And it's the same in Christianity. Go search for knowledge. He never told people, or he was never told, go look for money. He says, go search for knowledge. That's my challenge for you. I end by saying, young people, go search for knowledge, and you will never, never regret it in your life. Thank you very much. Yes, I think okay. Sorry. I thought the launching was to be done outside, but I understand we'll do it here, then we go out to do the others. So then on that note, I want to take the singular honor to declare this event launched. Thank you very much.